Good morning, students, teachers, and guests, and welcome to our first virtual Tolerance Week. We have been hosting events for Tolerance Week since 2005, and after having to cancel our 2020 events, it's so great to be back virtually. Thank you for joining us. Now, today we will meet terrorism concentration camp survivor Dr. Inge Auerbacher. Inge was born on December 31st, 1934 in Kippenheim, Germany, the last Jewish child born in the village. She was imprisoned with her parents from 1942 to 1945 in the terrorism concentration camp in Czechoslovakia, surviving 3 terrible years. She is a Holocaust survivor. After their release, Inge and her parents immigrated to the United States in 1946. She suffered many years from tuberculosis, the result from the terrible conditions in the concentration camp. Years of hospitalization, chemotherapy, and the loss of 8 years of schooling followed. Despite all this, she graduated from Queens College in New York City with a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry. She worked for 38 years as a chemist in medical research and clinical work. She's retired now and travels to many countries to speak about the Holocaust, tolerance, and human rights. She has received many, many honors, including the Cross of Merit from the Republic of Germany, the highest German award presented to a civilian. Inge is the author of 6 books and has been published in 9 languages. She is joining us today from her home in Jamaica, Queens, New York.
I am so excited today to be with my dear, very, very, very dear friend of, 5 years? Is that how long we've been friends?
Yes.
Inge, I read all of the information about you. I told everything about who you are and what you've been doing. But I really have a kind of a singular question to ask you, and that is, what is it like to be a Holocaust survivor?
Well, it's nothing any different from being a human being. I mean, it is just because I happen to be a survivor of a concentration camp. In a way, every human being is a survivor. We come through this life. And so we're all survivors. Yes, our experiences are different. Yes, and mine were not very good. But I came out of it.
Did it change the way you deal with people, the way you react to people, the way you are with people?
I think it did change. I never lost my faith. I am still Jewish, obviously. That's my religion. I believe in God. I'm not as religious as I was, but I have more respect and feeling for people who are not like me, and I came to the conclusion it is not them in life, it's us. We all belong to the same family of man, no matter what religion, no matter what color, ethnic background.
When you look at the events of the last year, do you say, what happened? What goes on here? What is this? How did you respond to all of that?
Well, it's not only this year. I mean, the pandemic is one thing.
One part of it.
Yeah, we're all part of it. The whole world is part of it. It's almost like biblical. You begin to wonder, did God do this? Were we that bad that he wanted to bring this plague again? It was in the Bible already.
Right.
And we're in part of this. But what bothers me the most is this hatred that has sprung up, especially the last 2 years maybe. All different groups, and especially anti-Semitism has increased again. I mean, it lifted its ugly head, and that hurts me tremendously. I live right here in my parents' house. It's attached. On this side is a Hindu family, very religious. On this, a Muslim family. They're right in the beginning, actually, of Ramadan. And we are very good friends. I called them up and I said, well, I want to wish you a good holiday, Ramadan. I know about it. I've been to Muslim countries. I've been to mosques. I've been to Hindu temples. We have to get to know each other. Education. I would like every state in the union to have a course on differences in religion, especially Holocaust, and to get to know each other. Who are we? We're more the same than we are different. We are one family, and we better think about that.
Why don't people try to reach out to one another? Why do they kind of stay in their little world and then judge?
Because of ignorance, stereotyping. Um, I mean, they don't even know what they call the other. They know from nothing, actually. You know, I many times when I speak all over the world, as far as New Zealand even, and I ask them, what is to be Jewish? What is it to be Hindu, Muslim? They don't know. They look at me, uh, and then I said, you know, who was the most famous Jew of all time? I said, you. I said, no, absolutely not. Some other name, maybe Anne Frank. I said, no, 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 no. That is small type to what I'm thinking about. And finally, a little voice shouts out, not even shouting, whispers, Jesus. I said, yes, please say it louder. Jesus was Jewish. He probably spoke the Aramaic language, a precursor to Hebrew. He prayed the same way as I do. And he never really was anything else. The Christian religion came later from the people
Right, right.
who went around the world to talk about it. But he died as a Jew. So I say many times, if you hate me, you have to hate Jesus. And I don't think anybody would want to do that.
No, no. You were very, very little when you were in the concentration camp. How old were you when you left?
Well, I was there between 7 and 10 years of age. So at 10 years of age, I was liberated by the Soviet army.
And are those vivid memories that you have to this day, or are they ones that, you've had to remind yourself of?
No, no, no. Even I remember Crystal Night when it started, Night of Broken Glass. I was not even 4 years old at that time, just before my 4th birthday, when my grandfather was sent to Dachau. All our, windows were broken, and the synagogues were either broken down or put aflame and burned them down. Yes, I remember liberation very well. We were liberated on May 8th, 1945, one of the very last camps to be liberated. It was a lot of noise with the cars were going out and trucks, and I climbed one of the, wooden fences. And all of a sudden I heard a tremendous explosion. I thought my head was off. I just fell from my head. By that time I'm 10, and they were throwing in hand grenades. They still wanted to kill us. We did not have a gas chamber, but they were in the planning stage to build one. It was begun, I believe, but had the war not ended, we would have been gone too. We had about 140,000 people in the camp between 41 and 45. I came in 42. And it was the place where you put the intelligentsia of Europe, the best doctors, the best musicians, the best artists, the best of everything. Highly decorated war veterans. Now, we were sent there because my father was a decorated war veteran, a disabled war veteran. Otherwise, we were supposed to go some other place, to Riga, Latvia. But they did that because, there was talk, where did all these famous people go? Oh, we have them in one place and they're safe.
You've been back there, I assume, right?
Yeah, with tourists and also groups of teachers, children, students. I've been back. The first time I went back was in 1966. I didn't tell my parents. I took a trip.
Without them.
Yeah, without. And I knew I wanted to do that. I wanted to go back all the things of my life. And the Russians were there at that time still, and you needed permission. I was in Vienna first, and I got what was called permission visa, whatever, to go there 3 days. And it was very traumatic.
Did things pop back to mind? Did you say, oh, there's that, I remember that? Or,
Especially what bothered me was it was a rainy day. It was just perfect for this kind of situation. Sad, tears. And I saw some children playing in the middle of the town there. And I said, where are all our children? We had about 140,000 people in Terezin. Close to 2/3 would be shipped to Auschwitz, and close to a third died there. We had 15,000 children, and very few made it, including my best friend didn't make it, my bunkmate.
when you're dealing with that kind of, if you will, this hatred,
Yeah.
how does that color your life?
No, I don't have hatred.
But they were, you were the victim of hatred, right?
Absolutely. And the question always comes up, do you forgive? Now, I believe in reconciliation. The people who were the actual killers, the ones who put the gas
Sure.
in the gas chambers and who shot the people. Grandmother, unfortunately, was shot among these people. 20 people, near relatives, or a little further, 20 in my family. And those I will never forgive, because they have to appear on a higher court, and that's up there. I can't be the judges in this of camps like that.
Was there a point in your life where you said, I am here, I am alive, because I'm supposed to tell these stories?
Well, in a way, I wanted to forget it too. First of all, my life after the war was absolutely terrible from the effects of the war. I had tuberculosis, and that took away many, many, many years of my life. And I was 2 years in the hospital, complete bed rest. I didn't go to school until I was 15 years of age, because I never finished my first grade. And there was no cure at that time. When I was 2 years in the children's hospital, public hospital, on a ward, after 2 years, my parents said, we're taking her home. They had an apartment by then in Brooklyn. And I still was not allowed to go to school, and still home, but there was nothing. And finally, I really got sick. I mean, the worst that it can get. I mean, it's called consumption. I mean, I was
Right.
hemorrhaging. It was awful. And then a new drug came around, streptomycin. And it was still experimental, like we have the
Now, right.
vaccines. They're still experimental, but we take them because we don't want to die. So they gave me 2 a day, very heavy doses, for a year, and I got better. And then no school yet, nothing. Only a home teacher who came. She couldn't walk the 3 flights of stairs. So I got books from the Board of Education. I taught myself. And I started to write at that time. Then finally, I went to high school.
This is a video that was taken, you were an invited guest speaking before the United Nations. The day you spoke, the UN was honoring the freeing of the Auschwitz death camp in a very solemn Holocaust memorial ceremony. So if we could take a minute, we're going to look at that, and then I have a few questions for you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, United Nations, for giving me the honor to address you and the world. Who am I? I'm 1.5 million silent girls and boys. I'm here today to be their voice. I was born on December 31, 1934, to a religious Jewish middle-class family in Kippenheim, a village in southwestern Germany. I remained an only child. Papa had served in the German army in World War I, was wounded, and decorated with the Iron Cross. Our world crashed when my parents and I were included in the August 22nd, 1942 transport from Stuttgart to Terezin, or Theresienstadt in German, concentration camp in Czechoslovakia. I was 7 years old, wearing a yellow star, and was given the number 13-1-408, the youngest in the group of close to 1,200 people. I arrived with few belongings and my beloved doll, Marlene, in my arms. Terezin was an old fortress town converted into a concentration camp. It was sealed off from the outside world with high brick walls, wooden fences, barbed wire, and in control by an SS commandant. It was called a model ghetto for propaganda purposes. Among the prisoners were the elderly and prominent Jews. They came from Czechoslovakia, Germany, Austria, Holland, and Denmark. Terezin actually was a holding area before sending the inmates to be killed in the gas chambers of Auschwitz and other killing centers. The camp was beautified for the International Red Cross inspection in the summer of 1944. They sadly accepted the deception. Life was especially harsh for children. We slept on the floor, or if lucky, on straw-filled mattresses, packed like sardines on double and triple-deck bunk beds. We grew up fast. The most important words in our vocabulary were bread, potatoes, and soup. We got used to the carts piled with dead bodies. 3 times a day, we stood in long lines, holding our metal dishes to get our meager food rations. Hunger, overcrowding, bad hygiene, mice, rats, fleas, bedbugs, lice, and fear of being sent to the east plagued us daily. We were finally liberated on May 8th, 1945, by the Soviet Army. I was 10 years old. I had spent 3 years in this hell. About 144,000 people had been sent to Terezin. Of those, 88,000 were sent mainly to Auschwitz to be killed, and 33,000 died of starvation and diseases. Of 15,000 children sent to Terezin, very few survived. And you see, I am wearing a butterfly today. That became the symbol of the 1.5 million martyred children. There was a boy in Terezin who wrote a poem, Pavel Friedman, called "I Never Saw Another Butterfly." And I'm here today to make those butterflies rise again in silence. Most were sent to Auschwitz to their death, including my best friend and bunkmate, Ruth. We returned to Germany for less than a year and emigrated to America on May 1946. We had lost 20 family members, including my beloved grandma. Of our transport to Terezin, only a handful had survived, including my parents and I. Our destination was New York. Unfortunately, my newfound freedom was short-lived, and I became very ill from the consequences of my life in terrorism. I was diagnosed with severe case of tuberculosis of both lungs. Years of hospitalization and complete bed rest, plus painful procedures followed. Finally, drugs were discovered to give me a cure. During my long illness, I found solace in writing, which gave me a purpose in life and took away the loneliness I was feeling. Eventually, I returned to school at age 15 after the loss of 8 years of education. I attained a college degree in chemistry and worked for 30, thank you. Thank you. And worked for 38 years in the medical field. 6 published books followed, including I Am a Star, Child of the Holocaust. Thank you.
What did it feel like to speak to the world about what you had experienced and why we should never forget? What was that like?
It was live too. It was live. And people told me my village where I was born, they saw it. And a good friend, new friend of mine in Sicily, she took pictures of television. She saw me there. It was a dream come true. It really was. And the reason I got that, because I wanted really to go with my Polish Catholic friend. She was exactly unfortunately, she died recently of pancreatic cancer, terrible story. And we were the same age. She was in labor camps, Polish Catholic. So we wrote a book together, Children of Terror. She has a cross on her,
Sure.
I have a Star of David. We made a film of that too. And I said, this would be so wonderful. These little kids, they always have these old people who are 90 years old or whatever. That's okay, God bless them.
Right.
Why not have somebody who was really, were children who experienced this? No, they wouldn't take us. They have everything planned. Then one day, a friend of mine told me, oh, that particular year, it wasn't nice. I mean, the music wasn't good. And I already had met this choir, the PS22 of Staten Island. They were singing at the Oscars.
Oh my.
And, yeah, they were singing it's just a public school in Staten Island, PS22, and very poor children went there. And I saw these kids singing at the Oscars, the last song, Over the Rainbow. I said, I gotta have these kids because I'm a songwriter too, and I had this new song, Who Am I? And I contacted them, but it took about over 2 years to get to, he's very busy, the choir director, Greg Breinberg, very busy. But finally we got together. I gave the whole school a lecture on this whole thing with pictures. And it was recorded, my visit there. And I showed it to this friend who said the music wasn't good. And I said, what do you think of this? These kids. I said, fabulous, send it in. And immediately they email, we love those children. You know why I like them? They were every color of the rainbow. They were like a bouquet of flowers. They really were black, green. I mean, every color that you can think of. And they're all 10 years old, all of them, 5th graders. And then they said, well, we want you to. Okay, but you got 5 minutes. You can do a lot in 5 minutes. You'd be surprised.
I'm going to have to try that, right? Well, you started your presentation about being a voice for 1.5 million children. How has that been? Has that been a lot of pressure? And
I was thinking of all the children, especially the children who are totally innocent. And I don't know why I had the amazing luck to stay alive, not only from the terrible years. I mean, they started when I was already 4 years old, not even, and later, and then after the war. I mean, I have a terrible story after the war. Here I wanted freedom so much. And I wasn't giving that freedom. I'm in the bed, and I can't get out. So what do? I wanted to learn English, number one. My parents brought me a radio. And so I could listen to those shows and, those soap operas at that time, Lone Ranger and all. So I became a big fan, Blondie. And I learned English. I wanted to be a real American without an accent. I hope you don't hear anyone now. So that's it.
What could those young kids, though, learn from you? What can they take away from all of this?
Well, to be tolerant of all people, to learn. And that's why I'm so grateful to Jerry and Kathy Weiner for doing that, to have this thing every year, a tolerance week, and to show the world different stories, different things, and to make them more cognizant what it is as a human being, not to be different. We're not different. We're the same.
Right.
Basically, and that's, I'm very grateful to them. Yes.
What did you think the world was going to be like when you were a little kid? What did you think was going to be your future?
Well, I didn't think what would be, well, I do. I wanted to be a movie star, of course.
Sometimes we want to be a movie star, but we get something much more.
Well, look, I'm glad to be healthy and to be alive. And hopefully I will be alive for many more years because I have many things,
Please.
what I still want to do, many, many things.
Now, when we talk to kids,
Yes.
what is tolerance? What is tolerance?
Tolerance is not to be hateful, to be accepting of other people, to get to know other people, and not to be stereotyping. Tolerance for me is getting to know what is sort of the other, it's no other, another human being. Let's do it this way. And learn from them. Education is very important. The most important thing is education.
Thank you, Inge. We are now going to listen to the students from Public School 22 in New York City when they sang Inge's song, Who Am I, during her appearance at the United Nations. Please encourage your parents to tune in with us tonight at 7 p.m. for a screening of the film, Who Will Write Our History? The winners of the Tolerance Week Written Word Contest and the Ella Holtzen Memorial Tolerance Week Art Contest will be announced on our Facebook page, the website toleranceweek.org, and in the Sioux City Journal. The photos behind me were shot by Sioux City native Vernon Tott when his unit liberated the Alam concentration camp in 1945. Thank you so much for joining us.